Hello, people watching in the future. Welcome to Frogs in My Throat. Welcome to this week's Ask Call. We have a topic. It was the shrinking one, right?
Yeah.
Okay. When do we shrink and expect other people to do stuff for us? Which popped up on a different call.
Aha.
Mm.
So since that popped up on a different call, do you want to start?
Well, it popped up on one of our previous calls, which is how it ended up in a notebook.
Wow.
So, yeah, I'm not really sure. Like, the thing that comes up for me is that I typically have very little expectations when I ask for grand things, like big things. I don't expect people to give me a car. No expectation and no resistance. I don't expect people to give me items out of their wardrobe. These are things that have been given to me not once but multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
And I've asked for them. The first and third time I was given a car, I asked for them. I've been given items from people's wardrobes repeatedly. But it's always like, hey, I love the way you dress. You should give me half your closet.
Cool.
And then people are like, I've been planning to declutter. I'll see what I can do for you. And I'm like, oh, thanks. But it's never from a place of like actually expecting them to give me half their wardrobe, because in my mind that is absurd.
Right. About how cool is it when it's not?
It's so much fun. But that shrinking thing, I'm sure there are places that happens. So for me, when the shrinking happens, I don't expect other people to do it for me.
Aha.
Because,
Okay.
my fuck it, I'll do it myself is pretty strong. So
100%.
I expect either to not get it at all or to have to wait until I can do it myself.
Mm-hmm. What comes up as you're talking is, do you also have an expectation, just out of curiosity, do you also have an expectation of, if you do hit fuck it, I'll do it myself mode, that people stay out of your damn way?
It depends on the people and the experience, the situation.
Okay, that's just what came up for me. Because yeah, when you brought up, okay, this is a good topic for us to go into further, 'cause it came up on a call. uh, it- I don't see you as the shrinking type, because like I said, you
Um,
have very strong fuck it, I'll do it myself, whether that means I'll do it right now or I'll plan for it and figure it out, and it might take me a while, but I'll do it myself.
yeah. Um, Shrinking is an old habit.
Uh-huh.
That gently timelined me out of
Yes.
a few times. Um, my theory around it, for those of you who are not aware of all of my fun healing adventures, my theory around it is I sort of misused my power in some past lives. And so I vowed coming into this one that I wouldn't do that. And as with almost any change, we overcompensate. So
Uh-huh.
I was just running around handing my power over to people like, here, ex-husband, you have it. Wait, you don't know how to use it. Give that back. It took me like 15 years to get to the give that back part. Most of the time I was just clubbing him over the head for doing it wrong.
Oh.
But that was where the shrinking was for me.
More around your gifts than around doing things for yourself or the asking?
Yeah, less around the asking and more around if I felt like I was being too much or doing too much. Needy is never one of the things that I am comfortable being. Even when I've been in physical experiences that seem needy, like I couch surfed with 3 kids for 4 years. That was kind of needy. Um, but those were the experiences that kind of sent me towards shrinking, but not really. And I
Okay.
saw that ending when I was just like, I understand that you're housing us, but that doesn't mean you can be abusive.
Uh-huh. So you set good boundaries.
Yeah.
Hmm. So what does needy mean to you?
Ooh.
Because just because somebody's in need, they need a place to stay, they need a ride because their car broke down, they're in need, does that make them needy?
Mm. Needy has some sort of desperation attached
Mm.
for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I have definitely had some desperate moments in those experiences of being in need.
Mm-hmm.
But on a whole, no matter what my experience looked like, there wasn't a ton of neediness.
Mm.
If I went to the needy place, I did not stay there because it's not a fun place for me to feel.
Right. Well, I think that that's a really great distinction for, I know for me, and also I think for people who are watching this, is the distinction between being in need. I have need of something, I'm in need, whether it's a minor thing. Okay, my car's in the repair shop and I really have to go to this meeting. Okay, I need to get there. And I don't know, maybe for whatever reason you don't have Uber in your area or don't trust Uber or whatever, and you're in need of a ride. So you ask a friend. Okay, great. Being in need, we all hit that. Sometimes big things, little things, whatever it is. Very different from needy. Because, like
Yeah.
Leela, that energy, I think that energy around it, the needy, I'm needy, that's when shrinking starts occurring for me personally, when I hit that point of feeling like I'm being needy, or when I'm feeling needy, period, because it does happen, is it does typically go hand in hand with the shrinking piece for me. Um, if I'm hitting that point of needy, I'm unable in that moment to see possibility. I'm unable to see my way clear of whatever I'm sitting in. This is for me. It doesn't mean for everybody. I can't see clear to something else. I have zero idea how to get out of it, whether it's because I'm simply in panic and breakdown mode, or if it's because I'm hormonal. Because I will tell you, that tends to be when that kind of stuff shows up for me, where I can't see through something that's a block, is the hormones just exponentially. I'm not saying, oh, hormones made me do it, but they tend to magnify what's going on for me.
Hormones broke your filter.
Well, hormones often break my filter. Here it comes. You're going to get it both barrels blazing, or you're going to get me falling apart. That does happen, which is why working on balancing hormones when you're in perimenopause is so important, people.
She's talking from experience, so I'm
Oh,
gonna talk
God.
from experience. It's important no matter what phase of that experience you're in, because the little phase will make you homicidal.
Yeah. Yeah. When there's an little tiny side note, but it does tie in. There's an acupuncturist that I work with locally, and we lead workshops together. She's really phenomenal. And one of the things she said was when she goes, yes, perimenopause is a thing. Having your cycle as a woman is a thing. Andropause for men is a thing. These are changes in our lives. However, the symptoms we suffer from don't have to be. They don't have to be. The mood swings, the weight gain, the hair loss, or for teenagers, the super extreme highs and lows of the hormone shifts as their cycle starts ramping up and their little bodies can't handle all of it. So those things they don't have to be. There are things to do to address them. That part's not, it's not just, well, it's to be expected. You're on your moon. Well, that's to be expected. You're in man. Well, you're menopausal. Yeah, no, stop it. And when the imbalances happen, it does tend to blow things way out of proportion. That does tend to be when I shrink the most. I become like frickin' Chicken Little. The sky is falling. Nothing's right. I can't see my way clear. I just spin in a little circle. Usually that's when I call my good friend Leela.
It's not that bad from this end, y'all.
It feels like it in the moment. And it feels like I can't do anything for myself. And there is this neediness. And it is, like Leela said, I don't like how that feels either. I also have learned to recognize, oh, what time is this? Let me check my app. Where am I in my cycle? Because if I'm noticing a lot of shrinking happening, if I'm noticing that neediness showing up, chances are, if I look at that, it's like, okay, what do I need to do to support my body so I handle this better?
Yeah.
So that's my own personal experience with that recently.
That's hilarious. Thank you for sharing. I love when, the hormones made me do it. It's usually yelling at my ex-husband that the hormones make me do. So much fun.
Lost my shit a few times on both ends of the spectrum. The blowing up, green pea soup coming out of my mouth, and then the opposite end where it's like, okay, you'll find me laying on the floor in a sobbing mess. It's like, what's wrong? Nothing. I don't know. Yeah.
It's Thursday.
Right. Hey, that ends in Y. Some days that's what it feels like. But that neediness, for me, sometimes it's as simple as I'm just tired of adulting.
So
really.
true.
I mean, and dumb stuff. I worked all day yesterday. Granted, it was from home, but I was holed up in the other room on my computer most of the day, on calls, and my half side didn't have to work. And when I finally realized what time it was and I was starving, I came out and I'm like, did you want to, what are we doing with the hamburger? Are we making this? Are we making that? Well, will you make dinner today? I about lost my shit. And I realized in that moment, okay, sometimes I'm in that space where I just don't feel like it. I just don't want to. I want somebody else to do it for me. Sometimes it's as simple as making dinner because I don't want to adult.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's, will somebody please freaking, I don't know. I don't want to go to a junkyard and find whatever the hell the pieces my car needs, because it's next to impossible to find it in the car stores because my car's 14 years old. And everybody's like, oh, we'll just go to the junkyard. I'm like, what? This is where I get needy. If it's stuff like that I don't want to do and I don't know how to do it and I don't even know where the fuck a junkyard is, can't somebody just do this for me?
Yeah.
I always thought it was the Leo coming out, the princess go get it done because I don't have, no, you go to the junkyard. But I don't think that's it. I have other stuff to do.
So I was gonna ask, like, is that is that needy for real, or does it feel needy because you're judging you should fill in the blank? Like we all have our geniuses. We all have our geniuses. You can YouTube anything. There was a single mom of 4, I think, that built their house watching YouTube tutorials. Ain't happening. We will live in a shipping container first. I'm not equipped.
Oh, some of those shipping containers are designed really awesome, by the way.
But building a McMansion with my bare hands and my 3 minis, there's not enough YouTube in the entire world, in the universe.
Although as soon as you said, and my 3 minis, that would make a hell of a reality TV show.
In the multiverses, there's not enough YouTube in the multiverses to get this woo-woo chick to build a house from tutorials. However, I will barter all of the energy healing on the planet to some carpentry-minded humans to build it for me.
Right.
Not that person. Now, I will YouTube car shit, depending on the car shit. I've also changed brake pads in a maxi dress. I had a shop. I was not on the ground under the car changing the brake pads. The car was in the air, and I was crouched under it in a maxi dress changing brake pads. So we all have our geniuses. If I gotta figure out how to build a house, if I had to figure out replacing the fuel line in the Saturn, would have exploded. Just not happening. I got brake pads. I can probably change some oil. I've filled the Freon in my car. Those are things that I am willing and capable of YouTubing. So I wouldn't necessarily, like, it might feel needy because it feels kind of desperate because the car requires repair and it's just out of your depth. But I think that maybe it's a Princess Leo thing. Maybe the Princess Sagittarius also has some of that in her, because I'm over here like, dear Facebook, who over here will go to the junkyard with me and find this part with me and I'll pay for it? Question mark. I'm available Saturdays. Thursdays at Toe.
That could be an ask, I suppose. Well, and when you say it that way, I think part of it, when I look at, well, is it really needy? The part that feels needy about it is I just want somebody else to do this because I don't want to deal with it. And so then I don't know if it's just that, when I stop and think, is that really needy? No, because I haven't been whining and begging and crying and pleading and asking people to solve my problem. So I guess I wouldn't really label it needy, even though I would really love somebody to go deal with it. And I recognize, so 100 years ago, when I took driver's ed in school, so that was a class in school, so that should tell you all how long ago this was.
It's still taught in school.
Oh, where you are? Really? Here it is not.
Oh,
okay. So maybe it's just where you live then. Okay. So good. Then maybe I'm not so old. When I took it, one of our assignments was we had to go home and change a tire on the car. And of course, I didn't have a car, so that would have meant it was my parents' car. And our parents had to sign off on it. My dad took a look at the thing. He signed it. He said, "You call AAA." And he handed it back to me, and that was me taking it back to class. I never did change a tire. I would have to YouTube that shit. I do.
Wait. You still can't change a tire?
No, I still can't. No. I have fucking AAA. Are you kidding me? Why would I change a tire?
You don't need YouTube, I promise.
Okay.
But, yeah.
and so I don't really look at that as needy. I had a nail in my tire a couple of years ago. I had like 3 flats in 1 year. It was like I got my money's worth out of freaking AAA that year. Um, and when it would happen, it's like, hey, this is where I am. Great, we'll have a driver out to you. And that didn't feel needy. So I guess
because
really
it's the service that you paid for.
Yeah. And I guess really I don't feel needy. I just wish somebody else would deal with it. So I guess I'm feeling less like adulting than I'm needy. Needy. So what is the difference? I think for me, part of the difference is I don't wanna versus I can't do it. That shrinking part you're talking about. I can't do it. I don't have the skill. If I really put my mind to it, I could figure out where the damn junkyard was, find a freaking Honda the same year, da 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 da. I'm sure I could. I don't want to.
Don't want to.
I want somebody else to deal with it.
Who could deal with it?
Huh?
Who could deal with it?
Well, I'm gonna put my mind to that after you said that you'd go out to the Facebook community and be like, hey, well, guess what I haven't done. So
my favorite thing to do is go, who do I know? Yeah. But that is a survival skill for me. Yeah. I am an orphaned only child with 3 children and an absent father. Therefore, if A, B, or C requires something, I get to go, oh, who do I know? Ran into a former coworker yesterday at work and was like, hey, what are you doing with your life now? Because the college student that was taking my kid home from school twice a week, she went off to college. And I don't have another high school student. So do you think this is something that you could do for me? And she was like, probably. We'll see how it works. Because she's starting another gig, but it's like a personal assistant gig. So she might be able to swing doing both for me. Great. Yay.
Awesome. And that's problem solving versus neediness. That's problem solving versus shrinking.
Yeah.
So I think some of it is the energy behind it.
Mm-hmm.
And the belief of I don't, it's for me again, it goes back to the difference of if it's I don't wanna, there's more of a ugh to it versus if it's I can't do it, I don't know how to do it, that shrinking part, it's a whole different feeling.
Yeah. So in a previous call, we talked about yelling at our cosmic team. And it's really interesting because when I feel like I don't know how, I yell at them. I mean, I can be in that like needy, desperate, like I have been truly desperate for living spaces that did not have other humans that I didn't give birth to in it. And I have like sat in my car and sobbed and feeling like an utterly hopeless, like I have no idea how to do this. But it was still from, you fix this because I don't know how. So, you know, like there was neediness to that, but there was also like, these are my resources. I'm going to utilize them. And the only resource I have right now is yelling at God. So God, fix it.
Right? This your job. I'm doing mine. Get on it. Well, and I think that, I don't know, I suppose even in that instance, you're still working on the problem solving. It's sort of that I don't know how to do it. I don't know. I think it's that shrinking piece. Are we caving in on ourselves? Not to say, oh, are we giving up? Because there are some moments where you are just like, I don't freaking know how to do this. Fix it, figure it out. I'm at my wit's end. I'm a mess, whatever. Yelling at your crew, yelling at God. But even in that, are we completely shrinking and folding in on ourselves? That's, I think, the energy for me of the neediness piece that makes it needy versus in need.
Yeah, I agree.
Shrinking. Where else do you shrink? Where are some areas and this is probably as much for, if not more, for the people listening. Are there areas, what are the areas in your life? Are there areas in your life where you shrink typically over others? And what's the lesson in that?
That's yummy.
Yeah.
I used to value others, I want to say more than me. The original word that came up was beyond me. like like oh, my mother-in-law, her opinion was like super important. Um certain teachers, certain mentors, and now I've gotten like really comfortable with being who I am.
Uh-huh.
And so I'm just like, well, this is me and this is who I am and this is where I am. And
Uh-huh.
that's it.
And do you find that you have less of a tendency to shrink then in the face of others who you think are pretty awesome?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I've had some, I call them setups. God set me up. I've had some experiences that were like well beyond my control where I got to um, take them off of their pedestal.
Uh-huh.
I spent 9 months living in my mother-in-law's family room with my 3 kids. That just made us all real human real fast. um, One of the healers that I thought was just everything showed up on one of my calls. And I was like, well, thank God I'm not doing anything. I'm just here being a vessel for spirit. My little ego is freaking out right now. And I'm also human enough to have actually said that on the call, like, oh my God, you're here. This is great. My ego is freaked out. We're going to give her a glass of wine, sit her off to the side. It'll be fine. And get on about this healing journey. Um, but yeah, those were some experiences that were just like, oof, do I allow this behavior from my mother-in-law that I feel is disrespectful? Or do I say something? Ooh, wow. We should talk, ma'am.
Here's a little thing called my boundary, just
Yeah.
so you know.
Yeah. So I could not have created those opportunities for growth,
Mm-hmm.
and yet there they were.
So a lot of what I hear in that is the more comfortable you became in who you were, the more comfortable you are in your own skin, the less tendency you have to either let ego get in the way, which could show up as shrinking, could show up as freaking out, but in that freaking out could be closely followed by shrinking, right?
Yeah.
So that probably is a really great lesson for most of us is when looking at when do I shrink? When are there people? Are there certain circumstances? Uh, Are there, what is it that is your shrinking trigger?
And I highly recommend if shrinking is a thing that you experience that is getting in your way. Um, See my friend Naomi. She is really good at assisting you and fully embodying you and getting the, what is it, anger and grief and sadness and
Gestalt, yeah. Tackling the gestalt, which is anger, sadness, fear, hurt, and guilt.
yeah, those things.
Those things from your imprint years, because
Yeah.
that's what has a tendency to drive all of those things, including the shrinking. Well,
Just
and
that.
got it from a place of, are there specific people? Are there specific circumstances? I network locally. Sometimes I really enjoy it. And sometimes I really don't. Because as much of an extrovert as I am, I like things known. I'm very linear. I'm very logical. I'm very ordinal. I like things in a box. I like details. I like to know what I'm walking into. I prefer very specific, clear questions, not ambiguous questions that could have multiple meanings. So sometimes I don't love those events because people ambiguously, and they ask questions ambiguously. And it's like, so tell me about yourself. It's like, well, what do you want to know? And or how long you got? Because if you don't give me more detail than that, tell me about you. I'm gonna make up stuff. Well, I'm not gonna make up stuff. I'm gonna tell you about me, but I'm gonna take a path. I'm a secret agent. No, I'm not gonna make shit up, but I'm going to take a path of stuff that's important to me because I don't know you. You're a stranger, so I don't know what you want to know. I don't know what you want to hear. You want to hear, about my home life. You want to hear about my business life, and I don't like the guessing. So sometimes I find I shrink a little bit if I'm in a new environment like that. So I apparently need to use my resource anchor a little bit more.
I also have a suggestion for that. Since you know that's a trigger,
Yeah.
come up with an answer. Not like obviously you know about Naomi, but like come up with like a business card answer.
Yes.
I like those Facebook group introductions. Like, hi, I'm Leela and I'm a super mom. Because they want to know about like your business, obviously, but because it's Facebook, they want you to also throw in some personal stuff and make it not sound like a commercial.
Right. And I think networking in person is very similar to that. You just can't start typing and then go back and correct and retype until it sounds perfect. It just comes out. But I do like that because it's like, well, and the thing is, in networking events, I have worked to stop doing this. So what is it you do? Could we have a more boring start to a conversation? But anyway, that's going to take us way off topic. But I do like that idea of taking what would be a Facebook group introduction answer and translating it into this networking.
Yeah. Like, this is my business. This is my favorite food. I've lived here for 8 years.
I'm Naomi. I love Mexican food. You can't make me eat. I love chocolate, except when it's covered on top of grasshoppers and ants. I won't do that. But outside of that, I love chocolate. I'm a health coach. And I've lived down in this area for 8.5 years.
I am a chocolate-loving health coach.
Chocolate. The one exception is chocolate-covered ants and grasshoppers. That's just gross.
Yeah.
So tell me about you, right? A little more fun than, But I do find that it's like I walk into these things and I'm like, ugh, I have to be all professional and business speak. Well,
I don't know, man. Pharrell wears sneakers.
Converse.
And what is her name?
So does Les Brown's son, red Converse, high tops.
Russell Simmons' ex-wife, Kimora. Kimora breastfeeds during meetings, so I think you're fine.
Right. I had somebody apologize because they showed up in their work attire. They're a general contractor. They show up to an afternoon networking meeting in their work attire. They got their steel-toed boots on and you know, drywall dust on him and whatever. And it's like, you're a general contractor. I actually kind of expect you to occasionally show up like this to an afternoon meeting. But he's
Right.
still apologizing about not looking professional. I look down, I'm wearing flip-flops. I decided I was going to use it for the fact that I live in California, though, and this is professional dress in California.
Authenticity, people. Authenticity.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I have one realtor friend who won't use jeans because she believes that people's expectations of her as a realtor requires her to not wear jeans. But I know other realtors around here who wear jeans and they look incredibly professional. So you're right. I think that authenticity, and when I'm being authentic, when I know who I am, when I'm sitting in that space, shrinking doesn't happen.
Yeah.
That's it.
Ooh. That's kind of sexy.
I know, right?
So, people, if you find yourself shrinking,
Yes.
hit up my friend Naomi. She's got some spaces in her life for mini timeline therapies if you're not local, I'm sure. But if you are local, do the whole thing.
Oh, if you're local, do the whole thing. And if you're not local and you want to do the whole thing, let's talk. Because people can and have been known to come out here to do work. So that's always an option.
I'm going to save this for later. Dive right down a rabbit hole. But I may have just found an ask. My birthday's, happening.
Oh, that's right.
Before the end of this adventure, so.
Very fun. Yes. Yeah. We can stick you in the Zen den if you want, depending on what time of year you come out, or we'll find a place.
That just sounds like fun.
Yeah.
Are we complete?
I think so. How's everybody feel? So we know that get to know who you are, really stand firm in that, let go of the ego so that shrinking becomes a habit of the past. Oh, and when you're languaging, if you're ever talking about, oh, I was needy, or, oh, shrinking, in the past up until recently, word it that way so that your unconscious starts recognizing that, oh, this is something I don't do anymore. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
But get to know yourself, be authentic, say bye-bye to shrinking.
See you guys next week.
Bye.